I still haven't figured out why the hell my audio's not working on my transitions. I mean, I've tried to figure it out, but I don't have a clue. 15 years? Yeah, 15 years is, dude, it's just like it freaking flew by. In some ways, it feels like it took forever, and in other respects, it honestly feels like time is just, like, blown by, right? So yeah, I've still got to figure out some Streamlabs issues. Haven't had time. I've been so busy covering all this crap, and then, of course, doing stuff on the weekends, so... But I appreciate that, Patriot. Yeah, so there's a lot to go over tonight, guys. There's a few videos I pulled up that I kind of want to look through. Some stuff that I think for people who haven't really looked into the controversy around Kingdom Come Deliverance from Endymion's video today, I think it'll clarify a lot of things. It might present people with more questions than answers, unfortunately. And then in certain respects, there's another video which doesn't paint Daniel Vavra in such a great light, so... These last 11 went fast. Yeah. Last 11? Should I ask what you're referring to on your end? Alright, so guys, I am going to probably dive into some of this stuff right off the bat here. Like I said, there's a lot to go through tonight. I think one of these videos I pulled up is probably about 40 minutes long. And I don't know if we're going to get through the entire video or not. Going to save that one for last because it's, I don't know. It's kind of disturbing, to be honest. All right, that being said, Grums put out this poll earlier today, all right? And it's really funny because I'm seeing what looks to be similar results so far on the poll here on YouTube. But, you know, it's still early. We're going to let that go for a little while longer. Saying, okay, you are now fully informed on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Make the call. It's woke or it's not woke. This one currently winning with it's not woke at 52% to roughly 48%. What's significant about this is that this is basically a deadlock split down the middle, right? Absolutely split down the middle. Vavra wanted to play it up this time for everyone is greedy. Yeah, so I've actually, I've grabbed some tweets. I'm going to try to grab a few more because I was just going to go with what we had in the videos, but somebody, might have been Marco Corrosion, brought up that he can't quite figure out what is going on in this situation, like what the end game is, if you will. In fact, let me grab my bookmarks and see if I have that one still. Yeah, I think it's this tweet right here about it not being a Christian game, which, to be honest, I 100% agree with Daniel Vavra that it's not a quote-unquote Christian game, as in like a Christian studio producing a Christian game for a Christian audience. You can make the argument the game has good Christian elements to it or represents a decent depiction of Christianity at the time, but I don't think anything about the game necessarily depicts it as a Christian game. So I pointed out, and again, I've gotten a lot of pushback as I expected on my last video. Hasn't gotten ratioed yet, but I think it's about 156 dislikes to around 260 likes, right? And to be honest, that's about what I expected, because I know that there's a lot of strong feelings, and I don't blame, like, the thing I want to be clear about is while I still have faith and believe that the game is not going to be DEI or woke, and I think that there's a decent explanation for some of the decisions they've made, I don't blame anybody for being disappointed or skeptical at this point, you know? You don't think it's just about the choice? And that's a fair argument. Again, that is a fair argument. For about Five Nights at Freddy's was made by a Christian, I wouldn't consider it a Christian game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so... Yeah, did Rev get attacked over Goonergate, though, or is he just being attacked by Vavra over his criticism of the entire situation? At that point, it's going to do nothing more than feeding the flames. But Vavra likes to... If you go back to the first Gamergate, which, again, I was not around for, it sounds like he was basically either dragged into it or was a willing participant in the first go-around, you know? And to be fair, if he's... If he wants to share his opinion, he's more than entitled to. But unfortunately, it's doing more harm than good right now. Based on his own, you know, inability to control himself. If gay people merely existing makes it woke, then sadly that makes the entire world of humanity woke, but such is not it as it. Yeah, okay, yeah. So Oblivion, I agree with you there. And this is somebody, like I've said this, you guys have seen me talk about this on Discord. We've talked about this in videos, on streams. You don't have to morally agree with homosexuality or gay people, or let's forget it. Let's replace anything with gay. And I don't mean replace like gay with transgender. I mean replace gay with cigarette smokers, okay? I'm a non-smoker. I've never smoked. So if I went and looked at everything and said, if I see one more person smoking a cigarette in that game, it's gay, well, then that's just, you know, it doesn't, the word no longer has meaning. People will still hate on the game and they'll be like, still not buying. Well, see, the thing, Drew, is, like I've said before, that since this entire Gamergate 2 kicked off, you are more than entitled to not give companies your money or buy games that you don't feel like represent your values, that you don't believe are going to be a good product, that you don't want to waste the money on. That is your right. Everybody has that right, you know? But the problem I have with it is when you start calling, you got to call a spade a spade. Calling a game woke because as an RPG, and again, I'm not arguing the logic behind switching Henry from heterosexual to bisexual or gay. That's weird. That's a strange. I don't necessarily agree with the decision to essentially retcon a character to go from heterosexual to bisexual or whatever. But if they are just trying to give you more options in the second game, okay, I can wrap my head around that idea as an RPG player, right? So again, if just having the option makes a game woke, then Fable and Dragon Age and Mass Effect and all these other games that have existed for a long time are all woke as well. And again, it doesn't matter if you agree with the moral decisions in real life, right? Or the lifestyle decisions, you know? People aren't even mentioning the fact that Saudi Arabia media source that started this whole thing completely and 100%. Yeah, okay. So plenty of people, Drew, are willing to... Patriot, that was kind of gay. People are ready to jump on Daniel Vavra for lying. Again, I was asked by somebody basically demanding me in DMs, do you believe he lied? I need an answer to this right now. And I'm like, first off, I'm not giving you my answer because I don't owe you that. Secondly, do I believe he lied? I guess we're going to have to wait to find out. I can't make the determination yet. You can interpret it as him being dishonest. You can say it's disingenuous. You can say flat out that you think he's lying. Fine. You think he's lying about this because one black person appeared in his game 10 years after he said it wouldn't make sense to have a bunch of black people in Bohemia. He gives you a plausible reason why his Azim or his... Guys, I put out a tweet earlier. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. I'm going to have to open a bunch of tabs after not having anything open. Let me go here. See, it's easy when you don't post anything like really nasty on Twitter to scroll through your own timeline, other than like a spicy meme, maybe. Let me see if I've got... Oh yeah, so you got this one. Let me see. Here you go. So guys, I'm going to go full screen for this one for you. You have to give them some leeway because many of them have been burned. Yeah, no, Oblivion, like I said, I understand. I understand people's hesitation. I get it. We've been through this for, you know, in this iteration with everybody talking about all this stuff for a solid year now. I understand hesitation, not wanting to just blindly trust studios, understanding that this is not the same studio essentially who created Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, because since they created that game, they became a part of Embracer Group, and Embracer is just terrible. I get all that. But what I'm seeing is people who are just straight up saying, guys, I've got screenshots, I've got bookmarks. It's not just one person. It is hundreds of people I'm seeing all over Twitter saying, if it has a black, if it has anything but white heterosexual people in it, I'm not playing it. I don't care. I don't care about woke anymore. If it's got an ethnic person, I've got a tweet saved. The person says, if they're ethnic and not straight, I'm not playing it. It's like, holy shit, dude. Only problem with this is being retconned. Yeah, Tekla, I think that is personally for me the absolute biggest issue. Absolute biggest issue. But see, Drew, here's the thing. Vavra is saying, I didn't change my game for anyone. So if he decided to put his token black guy in there because he thought maybe he's trolling everybody. Has anybody stopped to think about this? Maybe Daniel Vavra is trolling the people who wanted him to cram diversity into the game. Think about this. This is like, humor me a second. Let's put the tinfoil hat on, okay? 4D chess. It's already been talked about how, and we're going to watch Endymion's video, at least chunks of it that matter. He did a great video this morning talking about some leaks that he was able to confirm from somebody who was able to play through the entire game. Play through the entire game, right? And so, essentially, this character is ostracized. They don't fit in with society. I believe people even call him a devil, right? This black character that's in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. What if this is 4D chess where Vavra's just like, hey, you know what? I'll stick a black guy in there, but we're going to ridicule the hell out of him. We're just going to make, fun of him. It's possible. It is absolutely possible that this is just, once again, being completely blown up. Well, here's the thing, Black Cat. He didn't have control over the leaks. He didn't have control over Saudi Arabia coming out falsely claiming that there was an unskippable cutscene. Because again, we can address what Daniel Vavra has said and done, the decisions they've made, retconning Henry to be bisexual or gay and rather than heterosexual, and address all those as being an issue on their own. But he honestly didn't start the entire controversy. People sharing a false rumor that has now been confirmed to be false about unskippable, minute-long, explicit gay sex scenes and causing the game to be so woke that it was banned in Saudi Arabia. That didn't start with Daniel Vavra. So we can criticize him and rightfully criticize him for the things that people have obviously deservedly criticized him for. But that one piece, whether it was a troll, whether he just thought it'd be interesting. Look, so people, especially a lot of the let's just say the Crusader Deus Vault LARPers on Twitter, right? Because this has become a big thing this year. I don't know if it's because the Groipers or whatever, the people that are the Nick Fuentes fans who are the involuntary or voluntary celibate, I guess you would call them, because they're not involuntary. They don't want to get married. They say being with a woman's gay. I mean, that's just like this weird Andrew Tate cult worship type thing. This is strange things that happen on the internet, guys. So these people who want to LARP as like, yeah, we're going to be crusaders and go back and take Jerusalem, a lot of these people look to movies like Kingdom of Heaven as like this, oh, Kingdom of Heaven, Baldwin, he was so based, right? The very first 5 minutes of the movie, you see this African man traveling with his dad, who comes back to reclaim him and take him back to Jerusalem with him. No explanation as to where he found this dude. I believe this movie takes place, Third Crusade, so 1300s, like 100 some odd years before Kingdom Come Deliverance. You don't hear anybody criticizing this African dude popping up for 5 minutes in Kingdom of Heaven, okay? Much in the same way that back in the 90s, we had a plausible story for where Azim came from in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner, and Morgan Freeman was one of the best parts of that movie. But it's like, because the leak and because it was paired with this, oh my god, the game is so bad it got banned in Saudi Arabia, which turned out to be a complete bogus story, everything else got heightened. Everything else got intensified. Oh no, Real Shadow, these things do start small. I'm not disagreeing with that. And that's why I said I don't blame anybody for being cautious. I don't blame anybody for pumping the brakes and saying, wait a second. And I've already said, we can rightfully criticize Daniel Vavra's response. And personally, I think that his responses, unfortunately, he did the right thing. Some people said too late by coming out and addressing everything point by point. And from that point there, he should have just shut it down and said, Now you can make your decision about whether or not you want to buy the game. And a lot of people have said, okay, this makes it make more sense for me. Maybe I'll still continue with my pre-order. Maybe I'll buy it after it launches. Some people said I'm not going to play it. So, well, Black Cat, that's the thing. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it shakes out. You guys already know I've already, planned on playing the game after it launches, so we can see for ourselves here if it's as bad as some people believe it might be. And I am more than willing to admit after the game comes out if it doesn't live up to the expectations of what it should be. I have no problem admitting, hey, I got this one wrong. Even if they don't sell millions of pre-orders, people will buy the game eventually. Well, they will buy it eventually. Here's the part. There's a few pieces to this before we get into some of these videos we're going to talk about. There's some pieces of this that are very disturbing to me, extremely hypocritical, right? You have people that want to talk about how the first game was so based, and how this game would have been so based if not for that one gay option. This game, as confirmed in this video that we're going to watch from Endymion, is heavily graphic with sexuality. It gives you a lot of options as far as like things you can do and choices you can make, and many of which are not moral. But it's weird to me that the people who are going after this game for woke, not because, again, we don't want the infusion of DEI into gaming, and BlackRock and Vanguard and all these companies pushing the ESG crap are ruining our entertainment and by extension our culture. It's not about that. It's like, I'm okay with every other depravity or sinful nature and everything else that we can, allow, but being gay is too far. It's like, well, okay, if you're going to say that the gay character is a symptom of DEI pushing, okay, that's a fair argument. But being moralistic about it and saying, I'm okay with all these other sins, but being gay is just the one that's too far for me in a game where none of it's real anyways, that for me is such a stretch. Hey, Odin Dark, how's it going? Welcome to the live stream. You haven't seen a YouTuber that has previewed the game that hasn't had amazing things to say. That's what I'm talking about. And that doesn't... There are plenty of people, early reviewers of Dragon Age, who said it was like an amazing game, but you also had the, let's say, normie, the mainstream guys like Wolfheart FPS, the guy who reviewed Kingdom Come Deliverance and said the game's absolutely amazing, 40 hours in, the unskippable cutscene's not a thing, who he reviewed Dragon Age Veilguard and said, yeah, this game's not great, Time to take 2 weeks off of work and just hibernate. Yeah. Yeah, so for me personally, like I said, I'm tired of the moralistic, I'm not saying you can't morally have a problem with homosexuality. I'm saying I'm tired of the moralistic people preaching about how this game would have been so good for Christianity and how based it would have been, when the game sounds like it is basically Game of Thrones with an optional gay relationship for your character. Based on I'm worried about being able to stream the game. It sounds like it is that graphic with the sexuality and nudity in the game, guys. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Snake, like I said, we're gonna have to wait and see, and if that's your opinion, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I am not here to tell you you're wrong about that. No, Shinatsky, it's not a remake. It is a brand new game, and what everybody's saying is it is it's an early Game of the Year contender based on the amount that they have put into this game. It has the biggest script practically ever written. So yeah, let me just dive into some of this stuff, okay? So this is one of these things that I'm sure is going to be an article at some point if it isn't already. Pirate Nation says director of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 confirms it's not a Christian game. And I don't disagree with him in one respect. I know Patriot and I were talking about this on Discord, about how the game definitely, it shows a good representation of Christian lifestyle, or, medieval Christian lifestyle in the time period that it was set in. But I'm like, personally, the studio's not representing it as we're making a game for Christians. They're not saying we are Christians making a game that we hope will spread the gospel. They're making a game set in a time period where everybody was 99.9% Catholic or Christian. So, of course, everyone's going to be walking around saying, Jesus be praised. When I first started playing the game on Game Pass, before I said, oh, I can't do this, I suck at this, and I bought it on Steam a year later and came back and am actually playing it now, the first 2 hours I played it on Game Pass, I'm like, this feels like a satire. It doesn't feel like they're genuinely being like, oh, religious. I didn't get the impression that I was supposed to take some divine, spiritual experience out of it. It was just, oh, it's a medieval game. Of course they're Christian, you know? Remember when RPGs didn't have these kind of choices? Well, really what happened was, I think along the time where RPGs got so detailed that you could have relationships in game is where you started seeing the options. And again, if you want to go back and make the argument that let's see, the first Fable game, did the first Fable game have gay relationships or relationships that, it had relationships, I want to say. You guys gotta forgive me, it's been a long ass time since I played the first Fable game. But I know Fable 2, you could have gay or straight relationships. I know that there were less men you could have relationships with in the game. Because when you're good through a town and you're like rich and famous, you've got like a dozen girls walking around with hearts over their head and one dude over in the corner, some nerdy looking guy, you know? Worth a Buy is a very good reviewer and he raved about the game. So you could be gay in the first game, okay. Well, and Real Shadow, again, that is a very fair point. Like I said, I'm going to play it for myself. There are going to be people who are more, you know, okay. You want me to throw you guys a bone? And anybody who thinks that, hey, Geekazu, anybody who thinks Daniel Vavra, or Vavra, I'm probably mispronouncing his name, and Warhorse Studios is corrupted, I'm going to throw you guys a bone, let you have some more stuff to chew on. I bookmarked this. I want to say, let me see if I can find it. No, these are my posts, not my bookmarks. Let me go back to my bookmarks. Hang on. No, the Power World stuff is pretty funny, though. I gotta say, Power World stuff going on is pretty hilarious. Yeah, see, this is the stuff I'm talking about, guys. You have guys who are literally saying, like, oh, yeah, after, you know, reading what the controversy is about, here I am a half hour later. Okay, so because they look at the early life section of Vavra's history, they go, oh, okay, so he's a Jewish, you know, whatever, so this is clearly why he's not making a Christian game. It's like, no, he's a Czech Republic rebel metalhead. I doubt he has a religious bone in his body. Based on, when I listen to him talk, nothing about him talking about the game or the history has anything to do with him trying to push the gospel, you know? Let me see here. Sure, I did this. Hang on. Got a lot of bookmarks, guys. You'll have to forgive me. Oh my god, this stuff today with Zuckerberg looking down this gal's blouse. I don't blame him because she was dressed absolutely inappropriately for an inauguration. Let me see some of the stuff I know some of you guys have tagged. Fake gamer. Crap, I'm gonna have to go looking for it. Damn. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I know it's on Vavra's replies, so let's just go through the second, okay? Don't need to play a game day one every week. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, Shinotsky. Exactly. Hey, Geronimo, Moxie. Oh, I'm sorry. Did Moxie drop in here? I thought she'd still be streaming right now. Hey, Integrity, how are you doing? Welcome in. If they force you to be heterosexual and force Henry to be boned by some women, I'd hate. Pre-ordered gold edition. If it's woke, I'll refund. Refunding hurts the developer much more than not buying. True, Christy. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, as far as John Trent and John Della Rose, they are going at this from an angle of people who don't play video games. I'm sorry. They've admitted themselves in different situations that they just don't. I mean, John Della Rose says he plays Mario Kart. That's all he plays, I guess. So, oh, just finished. Perfect. Okay. That's the Seinfeld bra episode where the lady wore a bra as the top. Oh, okay. I got you. So, I said I'd throw you guys a bone. Let me show you guys this, okay? We talk about this because you mentioned the early reviews. The early reviews, the access media, the people who get access to these games, get copies of them to actually review them, right? So, this person here, Roxy Clark, says, the people I feel most sorry for in this Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 situation is Warhorse Studios team, who put so much love and effort for over the last 5 years into this game. You're amazing and deserve so much love. Okay? No matter what he claims, it's a slippery slope once you compromise on your vision. Yeah, and if he did, again, a Real Shadow, it's going to depend on if the reason behind the switching Henry from just being heterosexual to having options and of course, the inclusion of this one black NPC. If either of those reasons he was forced to, felt compelled to, decided to be better for a better ESG rating, or for whatever, if he felt compelled to do those things, then yes, absolutely, that's a situation where he's been browbeat, and yeah. Constant browbeating of woke have made people extremely sensitive to anything viewed as progressive. True, but this is my point. If this game came out 20 years ago, we would not be having this conversation. We wouldn't be. It just wouldn't happen. And I blame DEI for this. I blame the progressive activism for this, because honestly, the progressivism has made all of us far more conscious of the way that the world has been, manipulated to fit an agenda. So it's made all of us way more aware of it. I'm not carrying water for it. I'm saying is a couple decisions like that for me are not that egregious. Like I said, if I play the game and I feel like it's if I feel like the inclusion of that character sucks, if I feel like it's not natural, then I'm gonna admit it. I'm gonna say, yeah, this sucked. Why did they do this? I've been looking forward to plenty of games that I've played, and afterwards I'm like, wow, that sucked. Hellblade 2, guys. I was over here defending Hellblade 1, which I still think is a fantastic game. I streamed Hellblade 2. I thought Hellblade 2 was going to be hopefully close to as good as the first one. The game sucked, and I said it sucked, okay? I'm not going to, carry water for a game just because I thought the first one was really good, or because the developer was, based at the time. I believe, based off what I've seen from the first game, based off what we've seen from the second game, that despite these couple of things, the game is still going to be really good. And I don't necessarily think that it makes the game woke. We're going to have to wait and see for ourselves, Yeah, Real Shadow, that's true. That is, again, the Pandora's box can't ever be closed at this point, I don't think. Pretty jaded, yeah. So people have had an issue with the black man in the game. It didn't come from another country. So, Drew, let me try to summarize the issue people have with it, because they have fair criticism. And again, Daniel Vavra is not addressing it in a proper way, okay? The criticism is he was attacked 10 years ago because of they wanted him to force inclusion in his game. Everyone looked at his game and going, why are they all white? Where are the brown people, right? And he was like, F you guys, I'm not going to put a bunch of brown people in my game just to make you happy. People are using those tweets, him defending himself while being attacked, as a gotcha that he lied about this one brown person who he created a plausible backstory, historically plausible, real. It's a video game, so again, realism, you're getting a historic backsetting with a fictional story of a character who never existed, right? So it's up to us to determine whether or not we think that there's a legitimately decent reason why this character is even there in the first place. People are using that as a, see, gotcha, you put one brown person in, you're woke. He does try to. He's trying. I think he just can't shut it off. I think he just can't shut it off. I think at this point now he feels maybe because the game's gonna be successful anyways. It's very likely not going to do as well as it could have had this whole entire fiasco not started. So he might feel untouchable, which is never a good thing. Okay, I'm going to say, as somebody who's been covering a lot of these developers for a while now, it's never a good thing. It doesn't matter where his allegiance lies, for anybody in his position to feel untouchable. Because people speak with their wallets, right? We all know that. This is the point that we learn from 2024 is that people are going to speak with their wallets first and foremost. And as a developer, if you attack people or if they perceive you attacking them, I had this argument. Let me know what you guys think about this. I had this argument with a friend a couple years ago because I have a Nintendo Switch, all right? I bought a Nintendo Switch for my kids 5 years ago. I bought Minecraft on the Switch. I bought that silly race car soccer game that you play. It looks like Hot Wheels cars. You play soccer, right? Rocket League. And a couple other games that were all, at the time, multiplayer. All right, I bought them because they're multiplayer. I have 3 kids. Nintendo's not responsible for how well optimized the games are. That is entirely up to the person publishing and developing the software for the Nintendo. The game sucked, and after a while, they all pulled multiplayer off of them. I think Minecraft still does, but it runs like garbage, right? I was mad at Nintendo, and he's like, well, it's not Nintendo's fault, it's the publisher, and it's the people that optimized it. I'm like, yes, but I'm still a Nintendo customer, right? The average person isn't going to go, oh, well, I'm not mad at Nintendo, even though I bought a Nintendo game and it runs like garbage. Oh, and they pulled multiplayer off of there. I'm still going to be mad at Nintendo because I bought a Nintendo game and it doesn't work on my Nintendo. So I can understand both sides of it. Yeah, sure. Is it Nintendo's fault the games run like crap? No. But who's the customer going to go to? The customer's not going to look up, oh, this was made by Electronic Arts. I'm going to call Electronic Arts and complain to them. You know? So Warhorse Studio and the way they've responded is absolutely their response is on them. Again, the way they addressed it at first, the way they chose not to address it, him shooting his mouth off, that's all on him, you know. Thing is, Vavra knew what he was doing. Dunked on Veilguard to show his culture work hard, just like Stellar Blade did to get people to open their wallets. Yeah. I actually recently started watching more of Rev Says Desu. Yeah, Jack Flemwood, in this situation, he is wrong. The way that he is reacting to people is wrong. And we're going to watch this video from, I think the first one we have is endymion, but then we'll watch Rev Says Desu also. Talks about how you should handle the company's public image, which most devs fail to do lately. And see, here was the thing. Shinatsky, the whole code of conduct thing, when Daniel Vavra hadn't said anything, the whole code of conduct thing, that was the publisher. Warhorse should have still come out and said, hey guys, just to let you know, we didn't put that out there. The code of conduct is a basic Steam code of conduct. It was very much in line with what Steam already has. And it was our publisher that did it, not us. I mean, Warhorse, there had to have been a way they could have come out and said something, right? There had to have been a way about it, that they could have done something. We're in a day and age that our society is different now and people need to expect DEI in games. I don't, no, I think DEI leading to these really shitty games is going to start rolling back. I disagree as far as that goes. I think we're making headway as far as all of that is concerned. What I think is people are going to start seeing that people have different definitions about DEI and woke. And that's the problem. And this is coming, like I said, this is coming from somebody who I don't want to, guys, I'm honestly worried about the second game now because the amount of sexuality that's in the game. How am I going to stream it? I'm looking at it going, well, the whole point was I wanted to play the game day one and we could look through the game together on the channel. If the game has a heavy amount of sexual content, what am I going to do? Well, and Snake, my point is, the inclusion of the black guy and what his story is and why they would do it, that could make the game woke, see? So, all right, my point, guys, now that I've kind of like already said Vavra's screwed this whole thing up, we all know that these game developers go and give, or not even developers, sorry, PlayOn. PlayOn gave out the review keys. I need to distinguish between the two right now. When Toby, who works with Warhorse Studios, a few weeks ago said, we sent out all the review keys 4 weeks early to give everyone plenty of time to play through the game. He then said, don't contact me for review keys. I work for Warhorse. You have to contact PlayOn. I sent a message to PlayOn a few weeks ago and said, hey, I already pre-ordered the game, but can I get a review copy, right? They never even saw my message. They probably got inundated with plenty of people. And PlayOn, if they saw my content, would never give me a key. This person here, though, got a key. Roxy Clark, defending the game. And if you enjoy the game and you think the game's great, that's awesome. Fantastic. I think the game's going to be a very good game, whether it's woke or not, we're going to see. Roxy Clark happens to have a trans flag in the bio. So, if you want to know whether or not you can trust game reviewers, the problem is it doesn't matter how based the studio is, it doesn't matter how based the developer is. Now, when you get down to it, those early reviews go to the access media and people who obviously are going to try to be friendly to a game. So anybody that has the trans flag in the bio, pronouns in the bio, those kind of things, we all know those are, you want to talk about red flags? Those are red flags, right? I hope there's a filter, Spartan, because I don't know what we're going to do. You think they did it on purpose to piss people off? I mean, okay, I could see that, but what would be the end goal? Like I said, if putting the black guy in the game was a massive troll for the people that were saying, hey, we need more diversity in the game, and they put this one guy in that gets berated and called a devil as some sort of 4D chess move to piss off the woke, what would be the advantage to doing these things to piss off the already existing fan base? They're the same guys. Like, the studio's the same. Does anybody know, because I haven't been able to figure this out, the developers from the first game at Warhorse, did they have some max, like, exodus of employees from the studio, or are these all the same guys that worked on the first game, right? I don't care for sexy biscuits, never have, just a creepy looking guy. Pronouns is virtue signaling. Trans is, yeah. Trans flag definitely is up top here. Then you got pronouns. Then you've got, well, okay, I guess you could put pronouns with BLM. It's empty virtue signaling. Trans flag obviously goes up top. Then it's down below. There's tiers. There's hierarchy, you know, of all this kind of stuff. Feedback from customers is killing DEI. It's dying, not dead. Yeah. Oh no, Shinotsky. I don't know that it'll ever be truly dead, but it'll definitely crawl back into a slimy hole for a while. People need to stop antagonizing their customers. Yeah. Right. So Real Shadow, they addressed that in some of the stuff. Let's just go ahead. Guys, I'm gonna play parts of Endymion's video, but I'm gonna be more chatting with you guys. I'll turn the volume up to where you guys can hear it, but just not super loud so we can still talk. And I'll probably pause as we get through it. It's probably, let me know, guys, if you want the video louder or not as loud, okay?
Like a victim in the...
Let me switch to full screen. Hang on. Yes, Bridge is what's replacing DEI already. Yeah, that's... And there's other ones. They tried doing Jedi or Jedis. That was another one that they did for a while. There's a lot of these code names that they're trying to hide it in, you know? Two of which burned down. Yeah, BLM's a fun one.
The wake of Backlash. And an exclusive insider info look given to me by Grums that I want to share with you all as well. Beyond this, Insufferable Games journalist...
Tekla, actually, let me try to figure out how far into this we should jump, because... what you are saying is exactly what they said about this character in the game.
Of course, but beyond this proof of them playing the game, they also sent Grums a photo of their Steam achievement for having completed the game as well, as you can see here. Okay, so here's what they had to say about this all. Firstly, the person who beat the game told Grums straight up that the game is not woke at all. It does not pander, it doesn't have girl boss agendas, nothing like that at all is in this game according to this reviewer, who again got sent an early code for the game. This person has completed almost all of the content in the game, but still has some side quests left, and here's what they told Grums.
Dude, the funny thing about Kirsch is I'm not even like a big fan of VTubers, so I've started watching Rev Says Desu, and like I'll catch Kirsch if she's on, you know, something that I'm already watching. But in general, I don't even like, I'm not a big fan of VTubers. I think it's cool. Just not personally something I consume very much of. Yeah, Grums, yeah. That's what a lot of people are coming back around to, is like, so much of this, not to excuse the decision to switch Henry from heterosexual to give him bisexual or homosexual options, right? Again, I want to be very clear about this. I think it's a strange decision. I also think you can just avoid playing it as gay entirely, so for me, that's what I'm going to do when I play, is I'm just not going to be gay. It's, again, for me, that's not a deal breaker, but I do understand that them deciding to switch Henry from straight to gay is a weird option. But besides that, the entire thing that started with the Saudi rumor is such garbage, you know? Well, term of Wokenaz, it's player choice and interactions. Are we shoehorned into being too nice to the protected class? I don't think so, Spartan. Not from everything I'm seeing. Not from everything that I'm hearing. They pretend like people never watched The Cosby Show or Fresh Prince. I grew up on The Cosby Show. My wife watched Fresh Prince. I didn't.
Firstly, Henry can romance other characters in the game, and yes, it is 100% confirmed that Henry can indeed romance a male character. However, as Grums was told, this is not forced upon the player whatsoever in any way. The romance is much like how BioWare did romance
Don't be
back
gay
in the
mod, make
Mass
it happen.
Effect days, where you will obviously need to go out of your way to romance pretty much whoever you want to go after 100% of the time. Absolutely nothing is forced upon you in this game according to this reviewer. No romance neither.
So my one thought about why they would do the gay storyline, the gay option, right? Somebody said that, like, okay, but why would they even throw it in there, even if it's not forced, even if it's not DAI, if it's not woke? What's the purpose behind putting it there? I'm like, what if it's just morbid curiosity? Like, what if it is purely, hey, if you want to see what would happen if you were decided to be gay in the Dark Ages, here you go. This is what would happen, right? Henry romance Teresa though. Yeah, Nightcore, there's gonna be a bunch. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Monster Hunter Wilds having any issues. People don't seem to have any problems with Yakuza. I think there was somebody whose chat didn't come through. DC says it's female custodies all over again. It's an insult to intelligence. I mean, like I said, we're just gonna have to wait and see how it comes through, you know? And Jiggy, that's honestly, like I've said before, people are going to be entitled to how they feel about the game. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. What? Okay, so I'm just going to call you handsome. No, I'm not gay. I'm very much not gay. My brother, who is like, I had 3 brothers, they're all straight, right? None of us, like, he'd play like the hot girls in video games. I always pick the guys. I'd always make like the big buff masculine macho characters. For some weird reason, my brother decided in Fable that he was going to make his character have a husband, right? He just wanted to see. Morbid curiosity. And then after he romanced the guy, he then beat him till the guy divorced him. My brother's not gay. He wasn't in, living out some gay fantasy. He went and got married to a woman. It was one of those weird, I guess, I wonder if you can do this kind of things. Let me see. It's why Henry can be gay due to the city lifestyle mostly. I don't know. I don't, dude. Honestly, like, I'm not defending the actual. Hey, now he was straight before. We should make him gay now. It doesn't make much sense, right? Call him hands? No, no. It's gonna be handsome. Oh yeah, the whole female custodies when you already have the Sisters of Battle thing is absolutely asinine. That doesn't make any sense at all. Good writing won't come back unless someone tries it right. It's probably crazy to compare Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 to modern Saints Row, Suicide Squad, Forspoken, Velgar, Dustborn. So, but Geek, the thing is, the bar was set higher. On the flip side of me not carrying water for this, I understand why there's any backlash at all. I understand why there's so much feeling of betrayal. I get it. I just personally don't feel it, but I understand why the feeling is there. Because the bar was raised so incredibly high for this game, because of the Dustborns, because of the Suicide Squads, because of the Forspokens and Veilguards and everything else, people were like, okay, enough is enough. The thing is, I'm old enough to remember back when there was plenty of stuff that had diversity, or again, like you go back to Fable where they had gay options and it wasn't a big deal. It was just part of the game, and if you didn't want to be gay, you don't be gay. So we didn't grow up feeling like there was some agenda being pushed into our games. And so now you have people who are playing games, for example, there's like this whole generational gap between me and some gamers, because I'm a 38-year-old millennial who feels more like a Gen Xer. My favorite Halo game was Halo 2, and there are some people whose favorite Halo game was Halo 3 because of when they were born. So I don't fault anybody for feeling stabbed in the back or betrayed or whatever, What happens if gay removing mods were made you could put in this game? Well, see, Nightcore, here's my problem. I was going to say this earlier. I totally got off track, right? Imagine one game without the LGBTs. Hey, there are plenty of games without them. There are lots that exist. It just happens to be, for the last 20 some odd years, it's happened to be a component of RPGs. Not every game has to have those things. Real Shadow, I agree. They don't have to have those things in them, And to be fair, I don't. How long? Maybe none of us are flies on the wall. People have said maybe they wanted to have this element in the first game and they didn't have time. People said because of money shortages when they were producing the first game that they didn't have time to get everything they wanted to into it. A lot of people said, hey, they just didn't have time to get everything in there that they wanted. Maybe they wanted to have this option in there too. I mean, if they'd... Let me ask you guys a question. Here's an interesting one, because it looks like to most of you, 59% of you right now, the game is woke because of these things that we know about it now. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong for how you feel. That's not what this conversation is about. My question now, I could probably do a new poll, and that might be more worthwhile to do. If the elements that we're talking about, a couple random NPCs from other countries, Asian, Black, African, Middle Eastern, whatever ethnicities they are, were in the first game, and you already had the option in the first game, as most RPGs do, that you can romance whoever, but it's going to be, like they say in this video and a lot of other stuff we've seen, it's going to be very bad pursuing the gay relationship because of the time that you live in and the consequences for your actions. If those elements were already in the first game, would we still be having this controversy about the second game, right? Where was the gay option in Ghost of Tsushima? Well, that's the funny thing about Ghost of Tsushima, is I don't know if... I played it twice. I don't know about relationship options in that game, but looking into Ghost of Tsushima when I was covering Ghost of Yotei, Ghost of Tsushima is actually fairly woke too, even though people claimed it wasn't. If you look at the amount of LGBT representation and girl bosses in Ghost of Tsushima, that game is likely more woke than Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be. And yet, people remember Ghost of Tsushima like the super based game, even though I would say elements of the game seem to be more woke, you know? And Handsome Face, dude, honestly, if I had my way, if I was a game developer and I was making games for me, they wouldn't have any gay stuff in them either. Because I'm not going to make my character gay, you know? Maybe we should call it Kingdom Oh Come On Internet Deliverance. It's not even a discussion if it's woke, it isn't. Y'all just don't know what woke means, don't differentiate between DI and woke. Okay, so if we're going by the definition of woke that relates to Marxism and culturally like revolutionary type people, then no, gay doesn't equal woke. Woke equals people who are trying to use oppressor classes and, you know, again, that income disparity and that racial bias and everything else to create this strife between people based on color and financial and cultural lines. That's woke. You know, that's the very basis of the DEI crap. If you've got a problem with like the gay stuff in the game, either from a personal or moral position, that's, again, like I don't agree with the lifestyle either. But that's not because of its woke, it's because I don't morally think it's acceptable to live that way. But that's, again, everyone's going to have their own opinion on that, right? Well, Gustavo, so going back to the thing that I keep trying to say, but I somehow I'm not managing to finish my thoughts. I saw a lot of people who were claiming to be Catholic or religious or just saying, no, I don't want black people in my games, I don't want gay people in my games, I'm not going to play the game, but I'll pirate the game. And okay, that's fair. If you're taking a moral position against something and you don't want to give them your money, that's fine. But if your moral position is, I don't want this stuff in my games, but I'll play it for free anyways, it's like, well, you'll play the gay game for free, but your problem is that it's gay. You see that? It just seems kind of weird. If I had a moral problem with something to the point where I wouldn't support it with my money, then I probably wouldn't support it at all. Like, why would I subject myself to something that I believe is woke, even if you do it for free? You see what I'm saying? Like, that just seems kind of weird. Well, Jack, in the difference between what we're gonna hear about in this game and Veilguard is Veilguard was a lecture through the entire game. Right? It was a complete lecture. Whereas this, it's one optional side, you know, romance, which is very subtle, that you don't even have to pursue at all, you know?
Hetero or homosexual is pushed on the player at all. Let me repeat that. The gay stuff is not forced upon you. It is more so like Baldur's Gate 3, if you will, where the game is as based as you make it, and even when it does...
Kikazu, I just saw your comment about trying to be, you know, rational or down to earth about it. Dude, I'm just trying to not lose my head over things that we just don't know enough about yet. And the same with Goonergate, like, because I'm looking at this as somebody who's trying to be objective from a moralistic perspective, while I'm also accepting the fact that people are going to enjoy different things that I'm going to enjoy. look, like I've said before, if people thought Game of Thrones was great, but one gay option for Henry in this game is messed up as far as like a anti-LGBT or moral perspective, Game of Thrones was full of like naked gay trans, or not trans. If they could have excused trans people in Game of Thrones, they probably would have thrown them in there too. It seems like people pick and choose their morality based on what suits them in the moment. And that's what we've seen a lot with like the Goonergate stuff, right?
Does allow for the gay stuff, I guess. It is very, very tame, apparently. If you do romance this male character, which the name of the person was not given, unfortunately, but anyway, if you do, the way that it is implemented is that the male romance option is very secretive, even within the game. We're talking the language that is used and how Henry and this guy goes about it is considered very taboo, and very in line with the historical context of the times that the game takes place in. Because in case you don't know, same-sex couples back then especially was considered, well, heretical. And if you were found out, well, you know, bad things would happen.
Yeah, Tekla, that is like what he's talking about here, where you essentially, if you do pursue this, bad things are going to happen to you. Compare that to like what you just said about how everything had to pass through a social justice lens. That's like what we've seen with Tomb Raider, where now she's not raiding tombs anymore. She's returning artifacts to, you know, civilizations that she's stolen their history from them, you know? Well, Spartan, like I said, you can take a moral issue with something. You can say morally, oh, I don't think it's good to have nothing but, you know, asses and titties in front of your face 24/7. I think that it's going to make you a you know, moral degenerate, and that's going to make you a unproductive, unhealthy person in life, and whatever. You could take that stance. But the problem is, what do you do with that? You're going to somehow try to control what other people consume, or, you know, what they decide to spend their money on. You can't really do that. There's no way to do that, you know? Game of Thrones focused way too much on the dongs. Dude, I didn't even watch the show much. I tried to like skim through a couple episodes to see if there's anything in the show that I could really get into. And after I saw the second or third Peter, I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. Game of Thrones started out like that, though. I still doubt they imagine Henry is potentially gay by from the get-go. Right. And again, Real Shadow, a very valid difference. My point is more that if you're just looking at degeneracy as degeneracy, like, again, if we're talking about, for example, the take that we've seen coming out of outlets like Fandom Pulse, who I've written for, but I'm probably done. I haven't said I'm done with them, but I'm sure that John and John don't want me to write for them anymore. The stance that they've taken is the gay stuff is degenerate. This game was based, but now it's degenerate. It's like, dude, the games are full of all sorts of immoral behavior. And they're both Catholic. If you're going at this from a Christian perspective, the games are full of horrible, immoral choices that you can make from the get-go, from the beginning of the game. You're working. I dug up a body and stole stuff off of it for the miller. Like, these are not like good people that we're playing, really. Like, I don't understand this, you know? Oh yeah, Jack. I think he was talking about Tosh. Tosh, honestly. Yeah, murders are immoral. Let's see. In my 25 hours playing this game, because I'm at like 25, 26 hours, the first game, I have already gone to the bathhouse, just because, again, I wanted to see what was going to happen, and sure enough, it happened. I have played dice, so I've gambled. I've drunk alcohol, not to the point where I've gotten drunk, but I'm sure that'll happen at some point. I have stolen. I have murdered people who were surrendering. I've murdered guards who weren't even attacking me in the first place. Like, I've done all sorts of immorality. But for some weird reason, these games were the chosen one. They were supposed to be based from people who probably never even played them. But now that there's a... Like, this goes back to my original point. If you hate the fact that they made the retcon and made him gay now, agreed. That's a stupid decision. I wish they hadn't done that. But we just kind of either don't buy it or just kind of roll with it and see if there's something worse or woke to it or whatever. But... people who are going to pick and choose the morality side of it and try to say the game would have been perfectly moral and based if not for this one thing, it just seems like a complete stretch. Yeah, but Patriot, how many people do? Okay, what you're saying, Patriot, we talked about this on Discord, yes, you can play Henry completely morally. In the same way that if you had the option to play him gay, you could play him completely straight. You following? So... No one's promoting grave robbery, modern society, but definitely homosexuality. Yeah, no, handsome. I agree. I get that. But my point just goes back to, if this was a game, I know you're going to say, well, this is a different time than it was 20 years ago, sure. But if these guys are trying to make a game, like we've seen in the last 20 years, where it's just a great game with a good story, where you have options, and that's one of the options, for me, it just doesn't have the same sting as a game like Dragon Age, where you went from a great series that did have gay relationship options, and now it was just a complete moral lecture by horrible non-binary characters like Tosh, you know? Let me see here.
To you, let's put it that way. So Warhorse ensured that this wasn't some open relationship that people could just see you all doing. It is instead a very secretive relationship due to the religious backdrop of the game. According to the source, the actual romance scene between Henry and this character, which they claim to have seen themselves, is very, very brief and 100% skippable if you do plan on making Henry gay. It is, as the source claims, 5 seconds of kissing tops and about 5 seconds of both characters on the bed naked together. There is never any genitals shown, nothing like that. They are just...
So according to this guy who played it, there's no dong. Not saying that I want to see two guys kissing either, you know? Would they have been better without gay relationship options? Sure. I agree. But do I see a problem with this game having a gay option, one gay option, just because it's an RPG versus a game like Fable from 20 years ago? No. For me, they're the same. Fable? Oh god, yeah. Fable? I said earlier, Fable in every village, for the most part, especially Fable 2. Fable 2 introduced the actual mechanic where you could go like chop lumber and stuff for money and all that, right? And then you could eventually buy all like the houses and become like the governor of the town and stuff. I think that was Fable 2 that they introduced most of those mechanics in the game. You'd walk into town and there'd be like a dozen women that wanted to bang you, and then one dude, one lonely little dude with a little heart above his head, you know? You might have been you haven't pirated anything for a decade. Well, they are releasing it on GOG. So they already said today that they're putting it on there without any de novo. No, there's no penalty for skipping cutscenes. There's no unskippable scenes. Like I said, you know, the stuff that was a lie from the very beginning, the stuff that was made up from the beginning, it was like the unskippable cutscenes and the reasons that it was banned, and the ban, like, at all. Daniel Vavra came out and said that the game, to his knowledge, isn't banned anywhere. So,
just on top of each other. According to the source, the female romance scenes, however, are much, much more exploitative and vulgar in comparison. We are talking full bush, breasts, everything is shown to the player if Henry romances a woman in this game. But in terms of the male option, no, you don't see literally anything. Think of the Mass Effect romances, actually, how you would see Shepard and like Liara or Miranda with him or whatever, and you still don't see anything even though it's a male and a female. It's kind of like that. According to the source, there is a lot of naked women in this game, like a lot. We're talking women with huge assets, smaller assets, and everything in between. It's called a very mature game by this person. Probably gonna be a nightmare to...
So, you're here for Free Mole Romance. Hey, Mahendra. Long time no see, buddy. So, alright. You had naked women, you get Endymion's vote for sure. So here's my thing. If you don't want to play the game because of the retcon on Henry, I understand. If you don't like the gay option, I understand. Those are all, like, to me, valid criticisms. Do I think that that makes the game woke? Not necessarily, not inherently. However, I take an issue with people nowadays trying to pretend that this game is somehow a moral game or a good game for Christian morals. When you hear what they just said right now, right? You hear what they just said. There's going to be heavy nudity, women of all shapes and sizes. You're going to see pretty much every little bit and piece. It's a large part of the game. And these are the same people that if this gay thing had never come out, they would be singing the praises. They would be singing the praises when this game came out and sold 10 million copies in the first week about what a based game this was. Based game. You'd see that on every thumbnail on Twitch, right? Or not Twitch, on YouTube. But the same people you know, they see this one rumor about it being this one possible gay romance, and they go, oh, not based anymore. It's like, no, he's not gay. And again, like I said, I'm not going to play him gay. Adultery is a sin last time I checked. Yeah, as far as I know. It's always been taboo, which is why the LGBT simply wanted acceptance, not control. Addition of TQIA plus solid at all.
To stream this for most people according to the source. And I have no idea if there's an option to like censor all of this in the settings for stream reasons only, but I guess we'll see. Also, all cutscenes can be skipped, by the way, according to the source, so the Saudi ban claiming that they can't be, they are lying, according
You
to
won't
the
do
source.
cheating, but you'll make your own harem. I don't know if you can make a harem in the game. Not sure about that. Two wrongs don't make a right. Oh, I'm not saying they do. In fact, I'm saying trying to claim that the game is based because you can have sex with a bunch of different women and they show it on the game, but then saying it's bad for having gay people, it's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me is all. That's just my point. If you're looking at it from a moralistic perspective.
On this one taboo treated romance Henry can delve into, there are 0 other examples of LGBTQ plus or any sort of woke elements really in the game at all, according to this reviewer. The only gay character is apparently
Harem ending
this
in Gay
Van
Crusade.
Koff, who again is a villain, but according to the reviewer, his sexuality is never even brought up even once in this game at all. Now, as for diversity, according to this reviewer, there is one single black character in the entire game amidst a sea of European white people.
All right, so guys, we're moving on from the gay stuff now. Now we're talking about the black character. Base doesn't mean moral, just, well, okay. Now we're talking about how people have misused the term woke. People have misused the term based, right? Because everyone's got their own definition of based. So what I'm talking about is people who would judge this game as a Christian game. Like we saw how people are like freaking out because Vavra says it's not a Christian game. Okay. Based as far as like basic human natural desires and urges, sure. The game seems pretty based as far as that goes. Lots of women, conquest, plenty of options, fighting, all sorts of cool stuff in the game, right? That's kind of like how the first game was. But if we're talking about it going after the gay stuff in the game from a moralistic perspective, but then calling the other immoral stuff based, that's why I'm saying that there's some hypocrisy going on. So, Molly's not black. I've seen that complaint too. Based to Turkey, yep. Even the left calls things based. Yeah, like I said, based does have. Honestly, based does it even have a? I know it says it means based in reality, but like. I don't think you could even put one defined, like well-defined definition on it at this point, because everybody's going to say the word based if it suits their side. Thing is, because Christian games are rare and good Christian game, but Rabnad, you know, I grew up with Christian entertainment, you know, the occasional Christian produced film or music, and it's like, honestly, entertainment's not designed with it necessarily a Christian audience in mind for good reason, because it's entertainment. It's meant to just, you know, give you something fun to watch. Grounded, yeah, based for me just means more like grounded, normal. So, call both immoral, problem solved. But handsome face, that's the problem. The people we're talking about in some situations don't understand that the game is full of immorality. They just hyper-focus on the one piece. That's my point. That'd be like, you pull the gay stuff out of the game and you go, oh, it's a great Christian game, but it's not. It'll show you a good representation of, you know, Christian life in that time period, but as far as like promoting Christian morals, yeah, like Patriot said, you can try to live a good life in the game and not do anything wrong, but the game gives you plenty of chances to do all sorts of immoral stuff.
People. According to them, this black character is a very well-written character, and he's under the command of an enemy commander. And this enemy commander is apparently the only person who is nice to this black character. But according to the source, this black character is a very likable person, and again, due to the period that this game takes place in, he is treated accurately by the populace, which is, well, you know, very, very racist.
So apparently they don't like him very much. I guess the enemy commander is the only one. They The only one that actually likes him. Yeah, KCD is full of immorality. But that's the thing, player one. It's like people who've tried to moralize it, it's like, well, it's not a game about necessarily like morals, you know. Do look things to being meaningless like troll or gaslight. They add the Nazi word, everything else, yeah. Well, I mean, and DB Wild, like I said, you can have a difference of opinion based on religion or morals about whether or not you approve of like LGBT lifestyles and everything else, right? That doesn't have any base, like any connection necessarily to whether or not you think trans people are mentally ill, which I do. I think it's a mental illness to think that you're born the wrong gender, or you've lied to yourself to fit some idea that you've cooked up in your head. That's a whole different story. Like the Wicked Aaron Moore and the Heroic Othello. I remember that Othello. I don't know if I ever read it or not. Yeah, no, that apparently they treat the guy like crap, I guess. So again, that's where I start to wonder, did they put the guy in the game just to kind of like to you know, not necessarily appease people who are asking for diversity, but just to kind of like poke fun at him? I don't know.
So the towns in the game are also not multicultural whatsoever, and they fit the historical periods of their times. As this reviewer stated, the singular black character is 100% treated as a fish out of water from a cultural standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know if he's essential, as in you can't kill him or any of that kind of stuff. I don't know. To be honest, other than a few guards or, you know, random enemies and stuff I encounter, I haven't tried killing any of the like important NPCs in the first game yet. I should scum save it and do that. Because, you know, I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens. Yeah, you think that about trans people and you're not religious? I think most people can kind of look at it and say, whether or not you think there's anything morally wrong with it, you know, from a religion standpoint or just from a basic human standpoint, I look at it and go, look, no doctor should be performing those surgeries on a human being. If you are, that person clearly is not in their right mind. So that's you know, my perspective on that. Some sins are worse than others. I'm not a theologian. I would say that from what I was raised being taught, sin is sin and God views it all the same, but more off-putting than others? Oh, absolutely. There's tiers to these things, and like where you got the kitty diddlers and people that do that kind of crap, they're like the worst of the worst. You know, it may all be bad, but like, you know, you can kill quest givers. Ackleorn had good takes on it, also what it means. I'm actually with you. I have respect for what I see as the OG LGBT, but not those who decided to ride on the coattails of acceptance.
Let me repeat what we were told here by this person who beat the game. There is a gay romance, but it is very subtle and treated like a taboo because in this world it would be. The female romance options, however, are very graphic, very detailed, and they show literally everything to the player.
Okay, so we've kind of covered that whole thing. Yeah, so Handsome Face, the one thing I would say about that is, yes, as far as like wrapping our brains around crimes you commit against another person, that there are different severities of crimes and there are different punishments for those crimes accordingly. But again, the whole entire point, if you are going to be like reading the Bible, believing the Bible, that people need salvation from their sins, is because God doesn't view sin differently. So technically you're correct, but also sin is sin in the Bible. So any sin needs forgiveness. So again, doesn't matter what you've done, you still have to get forgiveness for it. So right, and Rabnet, I think that's the point that I was trying to make earlier when people were losing their shit over Vavra saying it's not a Christian game, is he wasn't setting out to make a game to teach you how to be a better Christian, you know? That's also...
There is basically no multiculturalism, so to speak.
Rejection, isn't that more like we're talking like an apostate, somebody who actively works against the religion,
black character
who left the religion?
Like I said, has a tragic backstory and is treated really poorly by the people around him, but he is apparently a great character. And beyond this, there is nothing that is in this game, according to this reviewer anyway, that would warrant the ire of anyone looking to boycott the game. The reviewer also said that the gameplay of this game is
The guy's basically saying a little gay never killed nobody. No, see, that's my thing is I'm just not gonna play the guy as gay. I don't want a little gay. I don't want any gay. I don't want nothing to do with that. Guy, let's see. There's a question, Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, where you can participate in an orgy in the woods with 3 witches that end with people dying. Only thing I remember Persona 5 was dating the nurse and a teacher. It's the best part. Yeah, so I don't think there's I can't remember, but I don't think there's a whole lot more in this video that necessarily pertains to the topic at hand. Daniel Vavra obviously getting irate with some people, the reaction from Warhorse. We've already talked about that stuff. That goes more towards what we're trying to talk about with Rev Says Desu. Because, to me, we can disagree on, again, different levels of what's woke, what's not. Is it woke for the gay, character story arc for Henry? Is that just something that's just trying to facilitate a better RPG? Is it pandering? What's the cause of it? Those are questions we don't have answers to, right? Real Shadow, I mean, normalizing is... But to your point, Real Shadow, somebody else said something previously. It wasn't Black Cat. I think it was Handsome Face. That this stuff's shoved in our face constantly, right? So the thing about it is, I don't think that they need to normalize it because it's been normal for a very long time. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? I don't think that Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a game that doesn't really hold back on anything, is trying to be subtle about something. I think they probably didn't want to alienate people. You're 100% right about that. They probably don't want to be like, yeah, let's go full on, 2 dudes banging it out in the back of the barn, everything visible. I'm sure that they didn't want to do that because they knew that their reaction would be like, look, if I had that in my game, skippable or not, if it was like an unavoidable thing where eventually the game led to that, then I would be like, I'm done. I'm going to uninstall. I'm going to go wash my eyes with like detergent and never ever play that game again, right? Except that in normal is not the same. Well, that's true. That is true. Learn the Greek words for the Holy Trinity from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That game has Christian themes. I never played the Xenoblade games. They look good, though. You agree with Vavra in this case that it's not a Christian game by definition, but it has Christian depictions, yes. Same with it having a single gay dude in the whole story does not make it a gay game. But see, Wild, good luck convincing people of that, okay? I've been just trying to play devil's advocate and try to get, like, conversation going instead of people freaking out and people like dogpiling each other on Twitter, which is all I've seen the last few days. I've been trying to facilitate conversation and go, guys, I don't know. Sometimes you just feel like you're beating your head against the wall. They didn't want to do that because Favreau's straight and he doesn't want to see that either. Very possibly too. All right, so the next part of this that I said has far more to do with the response from Warhorse, the lack of a response, the entire situation going on with the way that he's responded to people. That's Christian game to you, Castlevania? Yeah. Yeah, see, Player One, I don't view Kingdom Come Deliverance as a Christian game at all. I don't. I personally do not. Patriot and I talked about it on Discord. He gave me a lot of insight that, but the thing is, it did a lot to show the lifestyle, and you can live a moral life, and I get all those things. But personally, I don't view the game as a Christian game. I just don't. Yeah, Lucius, at the end of the day, we will have to wait and see. Yeah, and Handsome Face, like I said, I respect that opinion. I get it. And if things were different, now I'm not saying I want a bunch of gay stuff in my game, but I'm just saying if things were different and we hadn't seen things pushed to the extreme, look, go back through my videos from the last year, okay? And look at how many games that we criticized, that we ridiculed, that we investigated, that we talked about, were all revolving around some sort of LGBT theme or some sort of, theme about oppression or white supremacy or classism or something, right? I understand that people are sick and tired of it. I get that. I am not dismissing that or unsympathetic to it. The difference is in my brain, I'm compartmentalizing and going, okay, on one hand, yes, we've had all this garbage, all this dog shit that's been full of nothing but a bunch of gay pandering. On the other side, we have a game that to me seems like a traditional RPG. That, again, those elements have existed for a long time. So I'm looking at them in two different scenarios, in two different aspects. You know, I don't expect everyone else to feel that way, but that's just kind of the way I look at it. Point out the majority of games out there have Christian themes. No, it doesn't make them Christian games at all. This is the thing. This is like having a good Christian theme doesn't make anything Christian, because the West, most Western nations came from, you know, a Christian background. So the one thing that most of Europe shares in common is a Christian background. So, and Lucia, we got good reasons to be paranoid, you know? We all have good reason to be paranoid. You hope they released the official PC version. We're talking about Xenoblade? It gets really crazy. I remember the voice actor for Dr. Maruki passed away in 2022, the year he played Persona 5. Dude, a lot of voice actors are just like dropping like flies these days. And the crazy part, you want to talk about woke, you want to talk about insane people, all the new voice actors for like the last 10 years are all insane. We're talking absolute nut jobs. It's absolutely like crazy stuff. Uncharted Lost Legacy is based on Hinduism. Oh. Japan are actually fascinated by Christianity. Will make media with some themes of it. Well, there's a small percentage of Japan that is actually Christian, though. And I think much like where you have like, Greek Orthodox, where they kind of adapt. I'm not a theologian, but from what I've seen or heard, I believe like Greek Orthodox does kind of incorporate some of the elements of like pagan Greek culture with the Orthodox Church, like their religious beliefs. If I'm, whatever. Tour gamers should be particularly happy with the game because of this portrayal of Christianity. Right, Patriot. Again, I get that. Do a poll to see how many of us have actually played the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, because I feel a ton of people bitching about lack of virtue. And Spartan, you're not wrong there. Let me close this poll and then we can start a new one. So 69 votes. Look at that. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's an interesting result. I forgot that I put too soon to tell on there. So 75%, I was thinking it was getting ratioed. 75% said that it's essentially no, it's not woke or too soon to tell. That's actually, that's more than I thought. You played and finished Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is why you don't get the backlash, but everyone's entitled to their preference. At player one, I get why there's some backlash. I really do. I get why there's some concern, some criticism. I think criticism of making the character gay is valid, or whatever. See, there's that based word again. If there is no temptation, being a Christian would lack meaning as faith and virtue are proven in the face challenges, not their absence or something. Well, sir, JP, you're absolutely correct about that. You can't be virtuous unless you're being tempted. However, that doesn't mean in a Christian game you should have full-blown bush and everything else out there. So again, I'm not talking about you guys or people who think it's woke or people who have a problem with the retcon of the character. I'm talking about people who are purely moralizing, just moralizing about the gay character and nothing more, because it's morally inconsistent in my opinion. All right, what's the new poll gonna say? What should we have it do? Let me see here. Start a poll. Have you played? I'm just gonna say played. I don't care. I've only played 25 plus hours. So, have you played the first? If I could type, that'd be helpful. The first long. No, first king. Why can't I type tonight? Good lord. Panda's extreme reaction? Yeah. But the reaction from Daniel Vavra didn't help, dude. And like I said, I'm sympathetic to that as well. Not learning is the mistake we make? Yeah. What about watch the playthrough? See, I'm not judging because on one hand, it's also a video game. It's not real. On the other hand, it's a depiction of what I mean. Again, guys, I'm not here to get into the gray areas about all this stuff. I'm really not. So we had this situation, and I think he's just got enough screenshots that we can just go off of this. Daniel Vavra called out Rev Says Desu, I think last night or this morning. I think this happened. Wow, that happened 6 o'clock this morning. Dude. Oh no, I think the initial call out was last night. Okay. Vavra said, another grifter, no, our pre-orders haven't dropped because of backlash. The sold return copies ratio is the same as it was. What happened is that the preview hype has naturally waned, and 9 massively discounted games enter the chat. Monster Hunter is down as well. So, take out the grifter thing, and I think this is a perfectly appropriate response. Perfectly appropriate response from Daniel Vavra. Calling him a grifter? That's like, dude. So, I already defended him, Daniel Vavra, when he called the guy a Nazi, because the guy was acting like an actual Nazi, okay? Like I said, I've got screenshots of people who are like, you know, oh, he's Jewish. You know, it's like, okay, guys, we can criticize certain things, what we should say, without saying anybody who's Jewish. I'm going to say, oh, look, oh, another one, it's a Jew. I like to have a little bit more nuanced conversations than that from time to time. That's lazy, like, default arguments. But if he had not called Rev a grifter, like, holy crap, guys, come on.
It is like this tangible thing.
Why do you have to use that word?
And say, hey man, I love you. This many dollars worth.
Dollar, 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 dollar.
Dollar, 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 dollar. Patriot, thanks for the 2. Appreciate it, buddy. To be fair, Vavra's probably stressed. He is, but that's why Spartan, he just needs to get off of the internet. He just needs to get off the internet. That's, if I was to be able to, like, get in this man's ear and give him one piece of advice, I'd be like, put the phone down. Turn off the internet. Walk away. Yeah, Rubro, he used grifter. Hey, Smeg. Not your type of game, too realistic, too grindy. Are we talking about Kingdom Come? It is grindy. Definitely. And the combat sucks. Something that endymion says in his video is that apparently the combat in the second game is much smoother. Much more easy to grasp, a lot easier to understand the mechanics of, right? Rev's 100% a grifter, what do you got? I'm not, but, okay. I am not here to throw around buzzwords like grifter blazed. That's the thing. I've watched a few videos of Rev. I am only recently familiar with his content. I'm not going to sit here and start throwing the term grifter around, okay? So, combat sucks because you're using keyboard and mouse. I could switch to controller. I've got a controller paired to my computer. I don't know if that would help. Rev can be a grifter at times. Okay. But see, look, we got 2 conflicting opinions here. Philip says the word's overused, so it's lost its meaning. You guys do understand what grift... See, can I use my definition of grift, which might be the literal definition? Only saying something because you think it'll make you money, not because it's a true opinion that you hold. So unless Rev is lying, then it's not a grift. Or at least if he's not just saying it because he thinks it's the correct opinion, then it's not a grift. If he is only saying it because it's the correct opinion, then it's a grift. So that's just my basic definition of grifter. If you're only saying it or lying to earn money, that's a grift, right? Grifter implies they don't believe in what they're espousing. Okay. So it'll be, I'm worried about switching to controller because I've already been playing it on mouse and keyboard, dude. Well, okay, but Spartan, he wouldn't have as much to grift if Vavra didn't respond to him like this. And see, we've got a difference of opinion in the chat about whether he's a grifter or not. If the opinion is fact, does it matter though? That's a good question. You know, like I said, handsome face, I can't call you BF because you're not my boyfriend. I can't call you handsome because that sounds gay. You kind of screwed me with that name, dude. It's awesome. I love it. I'm just going to call you Face. The thing is, I had no problem with him calling that one guy who was acting like a Nazi. But then Vavra went on Facebook, and because he's got, a dozen, maybe 20 or 30 people doing the whole Jew thing to him, he goes on Facebook and says, the Nazis are attacking me. Again, in context, if he's talking about specific people, okay, he's not wrong. But people saw that, and it's like, dude, you're calling all the criticism a bunch of Nazis. How are you any different than the left, right? This is why I say the man needs to unplug. Just call him Face. The real story is that I'm the true grifter. Hey, Desert, how's it going, buddy? Clickbaiters would be grifters. Simply stating opinions and having people throw money your way to show support through greeting is different. I would say clickbait and then people who truly do not believe what they're saying. But yes, Vavra hating on him is only based on that without properly watching the video. That's exactly it. So the problem is, and I don't know that Vavra has any interest in watching the video or has the time to do it, to be honest. I don't know what he's spending his time doing. So, you know, should he have watched the video? Yes, because from what I saw of it, he was not attacking him. He was just saying, it seems the pre-order numbers are down because of all the controversy. Because he never mentioned Rev's name, only his video. Nobody would have known it was him if he didn't respond. Yeah, Martin, you're not wrong there. But personally, if somebody puts you on blast, especially a big account like Daniel Vavra, and you're a big content creator like Rev, you have a big presence on the platform, somebody screenshots a video and says something negative about you or whatever, odds are you're going to respond. The difference is Rev isn't running a company that's about to release a massive game in 2 weeks that already is, you know, embroiled in controversy. You know, Daniel is. And he's the one that, you know, seeks to lose out of this. All right, Snake. Thanks for hanging, buddy. Appreciate it. I'm noticing overcorrection from the Gamergate 2 community, like the Melanie Mac take and the hypersensitivity to gay option in Black One guy. I mean, might in Gamergate 2, I think it's going to just muddy the waters for a while. I think it just is going to make people... Look, I'm already starting to notice today things kind of quieted down this evening. No, he doesn't make games. That's my point, Rabnab. Is that they're not comparable because one's a YouTuber whose entire existence and job is to talk about stuff, whereas Daniel Vavra, his job is to make a game and sell it and make a lot of money. So, I don't see Rev responding to him as big an issue as him saying this in the first place. Because this just continues the controversy, is my point. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will make money. Yeah, no, it will. It will. Melanie Mac needs to take a step back. Well, yeah, we're going to get into her in a second after we check out this video about from Rev talking about the situation. Yeah, no, I don't think he makes games. If I said he makes games, I was wrong. I wasn't trying to imply that. I mean that Daniel Vavra is connected to a studio that makes a game that's coming out, whereas Rev is just a YouTuber. So, drama's overblown. Correct, Korean Cowboy. It really is. I don't do it often, but I'll try. This might help people to have a clearer vision of what they want from Gamergate 2. It's possible. Zuckerberg. No, dude. Okay. Zuckerberg is a coward. Zuckerberg is a chicken. The Amazon dude, Jeff Bezos, that's a grifter. Okay. I don't know that Zuckerberg is as much a liar as he is just a complete and utter coward. The FBI called him, they told him what to do, and he was just like, okay. Yeah, Rev got one thing wrong, saying the pre-order sales of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is getting lower. Well, honestly, I think for a time it had dipped down, and then when a lot of this stuff either confirmed things for people or put people's worry at ease, then the pre-order numbers ticked back up. So Rev used to talk about just anime. I do think he legitimately does care about what happens to anime and gaming. Maybe. Yeah. No, Zuckerberg, Bezos, all of them. Oh yeah, Musk too. Dude, I am as sour on Elon Musk as you can ever get, and I was always 50-50 on Musk. I was like, well, you know, he's done some good things, he's done some shitty things. I don't trust him, but at least if he's got the people riled up that need to be riled up, okay, that's cool. But dude, honestly, it's like, yeah, Zuck is changing because he was a coward. Face, I can't imagine that it would help sales. But for whatever reason, the sales were back up. In fact, I'll check the Steam sale charts later on. If you just go to... Do we have Daniel Vavra's Twitter? Oh yeah, we've got him right here from this previous one. Let me see if we'll just check in real time, see if he's responded to anybody else in the last few hours. Looks Looks like the last time was just this one talking about how we're going to be fine, talking about his sales. And you can see on this one here, the game at that point had moved back up to number 15, but that also included some free-to-play games as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 free-to-play. So in the top 10. So that's been recently, within the last 6 to 8 hours. Oh, you lost your Facebook account? Damn, dude. Nobody knows whether they dipped. Rev admitted this himself, so he's lying. And if someone's lying about you, you respond like Vavra. You know, Martin, if it was all a bunch of bullshit, then I don't blame Vavra. But now we're talking about, okay, I'm over here criticizing Vavra's response to this entire situation because of the way that it's created more backlash and controversy. So if I'm going to criticize him, I'm also going to have to criticize Rev. But if they're both just going to be allowed to dish it out, then we're just all just going to have to sit back and kind of deal with the fallout from it. You know, it's like Elon uses X to gauge what he should say at any time. Dude, that was like, I think it was Bill Clinton. I remember stories when I was a kid that he conducted more political polls than anybody else ever had up until that point. And then he just did whatever the poll said for the most part. But again, it depends on where you poll, right? So he wasn't like going to go, well, what's the true will of the people? It's okay. Well, what's the will of the people in these Democrat areas? Oh, well, we'll just do whatever the blue areas say. He could have been more diplomatic about it, sure. But again, in a situation where somebody's calling you a liar, in either of their situation, if you feel attacked, people are going to lash out and respond. I've been trying my best the last few days with anybody that I strongly disagree with or that I think is being disingenuous. I am not going out and attacking people right now in this situation. Like we said, you know, it's going to define a lot of what comes out of this Gamergate 2 situation is, you know, how people perceive each other afterwards. My problem is I'm just disappointed. I'm not even mad at people. I'm just like, a lot of people that I thought I was on the same side as or that I agreed with for the right reasons, I'm starting to think that they were never in it for the right reasons. And that's a real shame. Oh, Grifter is someone who doesn't care about principles, only about money. Tekla, I don't know why it keeps censoring some of your chats on YouTube tonight. That's not the first time that you got censored. That's really weird. That's not even like a spicy one. Weather vane politicians, yeah. Sadly, neither one was willing to do so. 100% Martin, they could have. Or they could have messaged privately and said that behind the scenes, you know, something. They could have done something different. So we'll play just a little bit of this. I don't think there's too terribly much to go through. I don't even know if we need to watch this video, to be honest, because it doesn't really paint any more of a picture than we already have right now.
Said it's a big mistake for AAA companies to respond negatively to YouTubers criticizing them. Well, unfortunately, he doesn't practice what he preaches because he has now gone after me, labeling me on social media as a grifter over a video I uploaded a few days ago about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where ironically enough, I spent most of the video defending him and his game that is mired in controversy over the past week or so.
If someone makes money and tells the truth, I see no problem regardless. Well, you know, Face, you are rare then, because a lot of times what I've seen, and I've gotten this from people in general, and I am not making a living wage on YouTube, guys, believe it or not. 11,000 subscribers doesn't get you that much money, okay? And I'm appreciative for like what I do get out of YouTube because it helps pay my bills, because my wife and I, we both work and we homeschool our kids, and it's like I don't take for granted anything that I get from YouTube. But then you get people who are like, oh, you should only be in this for the cause and you shouldn't make any money. It's like, well, people put a lot of time and effort into some, not me personally, like I put a couple hours a night into, you know, making videos and sometimes editing them and doing like some heavy like actual editing for some videos. But no, I'm not spending 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day making videos. If I was, I'd be broke. But that being said, it's still work. It's still time that people devote to it. And if you believe and trust that they're telling you the truth or that they're being honest and they're not, you know, trying to deceive you, then I don't understand people that have an issue with somebody making a little bit of ad revenue or getting a super chat or whatever. But there are people who actually believe if you make any money at all, you're a grifter. And it's like, what if you're sharing your honest opinion, you also happen to make a few bucks here and there, you know? Your $2 doesn't fill that chili pot. No, but I don't take it for granted either, Patriot. That's the thing. You know? I don't take it for granted. That's the difference. But when you get people who are like, I had this like midway through, I think it was like mid-June. I can't remember what it was. I had somebody who's like, you shouldn't be taking any money if you really care about all this. I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? Yeah, no, the girl VTuber avatar thing, it's a little strange. But to be fair, I listen to most of the videos that I watch at work. I'll have headphones on or something. I don't sit there and watch them. So for me, I never really look at the VTuber avatar. It is a little disconcerting, you know. They who are censored have no need for clothes.
So let's talk about Daniel Vavra for a second here. He is someone I've mentioned multiple times on the channel, and each time I've mentioned him, it's been in a very positive light because I believe he was and still is a target of cancel culture, a legit
20,000 subscriber account to make money. Well, no, you can get ad revenue starting at 1,000 subscribers as long as you maintain a certain number of watch hours for the year, which is where so many people get desperate to like keep their watch hours up. For me personally, I'm less worried about the revenue than I am the visibility. For me personally, and I know visibility corresponds with money, but it's not about the money side of it. Like, I have a full-time job, guys. I like I said, I'm not trying to be a full-time YouTuber. So for me, if the money, if I make $20 a month, that's $20 more than I had, you know? For me, it's about the fact that I feel like you either hit a wall or you plateau or you just don't do a good enough job, and that frustrates me. So when I see the subscriber numbers dip or the view time dip, that's what pisses me off. It's not about the actual, oh no, my revenue's down. Sure, nobody likes to see that they make less money one month than the next. It's kind of like Twitter. I started off making $40 a month on Twitter. Then I got, you know, demonetized, banned, unbanned, and I haven't made money on Twitter in like 3 months. Oh well.
More chili for the pot. You're
Millionaires.
No grifter. You're a good guy. If I could pick people to be millionaires, you'd be one.
Oh, dude, no. I don't need $1 million. My wife and I, like, we're trying to figure stuff out so we can move into a house in the next 6 months, get a little bit more space, and if we can get out of our apartment into a house, I'm cool with that. I don't need millions of dollars. I appreciate the thought, though, and thanks for the 5, dude. Appreciate it. But, no. I don't know that I'd ever want to be a millionaire. Like, I get it. On one hand, you go, oh, money doesn't fix everything, and you go, oh, it fixed a lot of my problems. On the flip side, it's like, yeah, doing YouTube should never be a full-time job in this current situation, you know, ever. Unless you already, if you're already established. Say you don't need millions, but inflation. Yeah, that inflation. Girl avatars are popular even when a guy's behind it. I think maybe it's the whole, the weirdness about it, right? Maybe that's the appeal, is because of the fact that it's so strange to hear a man's voice coming out of a girl avatar. I don't know. Oh, appreciate it, geek. Honestly, dude, I'm just, we got 50, I think we got like 50 people in here. I can't even imagine, you know, needing more than this right now. Renting can't buy a house. Dude, right there, man. 100%. Co-founded Czech Free Speech Defense Society. Okay, Jack, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I would imagine, based on the sound of it, that that's good. Oh, millions to buy groceries. Don't even get me started, man. Anti-censorship, well, that's good. Yeah, I'm Korean. I'm kind of with you on that one because a lot of words have started to lose meaning given the fact that, unfortunately, they have been thrown around in ways that don't apply. So, Rev has integrity and merit usually, and Daniel's acting unhinged. Well, I agree that he's acting unhinged in terms of his response to a lot of people.
Legitimate target of cancel culture because when the first game came out, he was attacked by dozens of articles trying to label him and his team as a bunch of bigots and racists because he wanted to have a Bohemia setting that is historically accurate without forced diversity in it, which I thought was a very fair thing. So, when a few months ago, back in December, he made this tweet showing that his game from 7 years ago had more in-game players than Veilguard, despite only being out for a month, I said, take your victory lap. In fact, I said that in my video the other day. I said this was a moment he and his team deserved after being dragged through the mud for so many years.
Dude, I feel like so many of us felt the same way. Like, okay, we got a great game coming out. 2024 was a hell of a year. There was a lot of bad games. We saw a lot of the DEI crap. We saw a lot of the woke stuff. And we had general good pushback against it. And we felt like, hey, you know what? We get to see this game go up head-to-head with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And you get to have all this, you know, this great... I mean, look, there's a great month of gaming coming out next month. There's genuinely 3 or 4 titles that look really great, right? Oh, Patriot, I can sympathize. I get it. I 100% get it. I can understand if he's already this person who feels like he's been attacked under a microscope for like 10 years, and now he's getting it from the other side. I get that piece of it. That's why I feel like he just needs to unplug. He's making it worse for himself. Being a VTuber does have advantage for privacy. You're 100% correct about that. I don't disagree with you there.
Years, and he deserved to basically take a victory lap with this one. However, with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there's been a lot of controversy, and a lot of that controversy I have criticized and dismissed as gigantic reaches. One of the first things that happened a few days ago was this.
Jack, before we lose your comment, because again, YouTube censored it. Vavra's unhingedness is like his thing. It's good against the journos, but at the same time, it's also a con against anti-wokes. Yeah, and especially when, look, we aren't all in this chat here. There's a variety of opinions. We can all agree to disagree on certain aspects. You can call me an idiot if you think that I don't have a problem with there being, you know, a black guy in the game and I don't think it's woke. Okay, and we can agree to disagree about that. That's fine. I think it depends on how it's done. Because like I said, Kingdom of Heaven has a black guy at the very beginning in the entourage of his father headed to Jerusalem. Nobody asks how he got the black guy there. I don't even think he had been to Jerusalem yet at that point. Nobody asked about, you know, no one called Azim in Robin Hood back in the day woke or DEI or whatever in Robin Hood. He was just a cool, funny character that tagged along in Robin Hood. So, again, just like the optional RPG mechanic of having a gay romance, if this was a different time, different place, we wouldn't be seeing this kind of pushback. I understand that the hypersensitivity to it is because of the amount of crap that we've seen crammed into these games lately. It's been a bad 10, 15-year slog of being force-fed a bunch of BS of LGBT, pride flag enthusiast, inclusivity, and all this other dog shit, right? I get that we've been beat over the head with it. And not everybody can compartmentalize like I was talking about and separate the two. That being said, there are genuinely people who are like saying, if there's any game that has anybody who's not straight or white, I'm not playing it because those N-words and this, it's like, okay, guys, I get it. It's the internet. We all like to be edgy. I say plenty of edgy things too, you know? But it's like, if that's your response to the developer, not, hey, it doesn't make sense. You said there weren't black people. Now you got a black person. What's up? Hey, you said you weren't going to, you know, change anything, but now Henry's gay. What's up with that? Those genuine attempts at criticism, but still speaking in a more or less reasonable tone. I think it's the extra dogpiling and trolling that's probably broken his brain a little bit. And that's exactly why I said he shouldn't be on the internet right now. If he can't weed through the people who are just trying to get a reaction versus people who have legitimate concerns, then I don't think he should be responding to any of them. So he just needs to shut up and make it deliver to his audience. He's trying to mend the controversy, but his inputs overall aren't doing them any favors. Yeah. Very diverse chat. We do have a very diverse chat. No, fighting with content creators is not a winning strategy, Face. It really is not. No, you're not sympathetic. He seems to have compromised, and people that supported him when the journalists were coming for his throat are rightfully angry, and he throws a fit. Yeah, and again, legitimate criticism, and for a lot of us, we're just going to hopefully wait and see how it shakes out, but well, okay, and the thing about Yasuke, because I did a lot of, I mean, you guys know if you watch my videos, I did a lot of research into Yasuke. It wasn't just the whole, oh, I'm going to read an article. No, I was actually digging through like actual books and stuff, looking through articles online, I had to translate a bunch of just different Japanese news outlets and all. We collectively, the YouTube community that actually looked into the entire situation with a big help from like Japanese YouTube, we did a lot of investigative work looking into whether or not Thomas Lockley was full of shit, how legitimate it was that Yasuke even existed, the presence of the black person, like all these different things, right? We tried our hardest to figure out why this was a thing and why they were pushing it. And at the end of the day, when we boil it all down, Yasuke might not have even existed to begin with. He's only truly cited in like a couple of writings. Nothing very like much more than that. And a lot of it's been, revised over the years. So in this situation, yeah, there might be a couple documented cases of a brown person in Europe at some point. I mean, hell, you could even find examples where people There are PhD scholars and stuff who talk about how during the Crusades, 1300s, you had armies of crusaders that were diverse because they would just pull soldiers from the surrounding areas or conquered armies and say, hey, you used to fight for that guy. We're going to go on a crusade. You're going to go fight for us. Now, whether they were black people, I don't know. Like I said, that's for a historian to determine, not me. Internet autism at work killed Lockley. Yeah, 100%. You almost forgot about Assassin's Creed.